one and all. It's an honor itself to welcome and honor this beautiful audience who has gathered here. I, Professor Vandana Sharma from Sandip University, welcome you all on behalf of Sandip University. Now, before we start the program, let us first acknowledge the presence of our eminent guests. To grace today's function, we have with us Honourable Mr. Justice Uday Umesh Lalit, Honourable Judge of the Supreme Court of India. Let us give a big hand to our eminent guests. We also have the Registrar D.D. Deshmukh sir. We also have Pro VC Dr. R.G. Tate sir, Dr. M.S. Raste sir, and our Sunil Pradikshine sir. So today, let us start the traditional function of lighting ceremony as a tribute to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, by the auspicious hands of our guests. It is our privilege to honor and felicitate our today's guests and dignitaries on the dais. Now, I request Dr. R.G. Tate sir, Pro VC Sandip University, to kindly felicitate Honourable Justice Mr. Uday G. Lalit. We welcome you once again, sir. Now I request Dr. D.M. Jadhav, Associate Dean of School of Law of University, to kindly felicitate our Dr. R.G. Tate sir, Pro VC Sandip University. Now I request Dr. Vajay sir to kindly felicitate Dr. M.S. Raste, Dean of Law of School of University. Now I request Dr. D.D. Deshmukh sir, our Registrar Sandip University, to kindly felicitate Mr. Sunil Pradikshine sir, who is the felicitator and who has extended great working arrangements. Let us felicitate our today's guest of honor, Honourable Mr. Justice Uday G. Lalit, for giving us the opportunity and meet and listen to his golden words of wisdom. Now, I request Dr. D.M. Jadhav sir, Associate Dean of School of Law of Sandip University, to throw some light on the aim, objective and the theme of the program. Welcome, sir.
The dignitaries on the dais, Honourable Mr. Justice Uday G. Lalit, Honourable Judge of the Supreme Court of India, Dr. R.G. Tate, Pro Vice Chancellor of Sandip University, Dr. Manal Raste, the Dean of the Faculty of Law, Dr. D.D. Deshmukh, Registrar of the University, Dr. Lulekar, Controller of Examination, Dr. Gande, Principal P.N. Patil, Principal Pawar, Dr. Jadhav, Dr. Gadekar, Dr. Vajay, distinguished lawyers from the bar, dear law students. Indian democracy is one of the largest democracy in the world. And when the rule of law is a deriving force of democracy, the legal education assumes great significance. Lawyer's profession is one of the noble profession of the society. Lawyers are directly exposed to social, economic and political changes in the society. One can say that lawyers, they do have dual responsibility. One, responsibility towards the court, and another, responsibility towards the society. In a way, lawyers directly and indirectly helps in upholding the rule of law and maintaining democracy in the country. The basic tenet of a democracy lies in the justice. Indian Constitution, which is one of the exceptional constitution in the world, in its preamble, it ensures social, economic and political justice. In the same way, the lawyers are concerned with the justice rather than to solve the dispute. What this legend intend to contemplate or convey the message for the legal education is that legal education should be justice-based education. Gone are those days where the scope of law lies within the four corners of the courtroom. Now, lot many opportunities are available to the student of law, right from practicing a law in the courtroom, then to practice as a corporate lawyer, to be a advisor in a corporate sector, to work in a legal process outsourcing. In a way, lot many opportunities and avenues are available in the profession of law. Especially so as to impart the quality legal education, the centers across the country, they are taking the care to maintain the high standard of noble profession of advocacy, because the practical based legal education is a need of the time, and skill based education is the heart and soul of legal education system in the country. One cannot be a good cricketer by reading the book on cricket. He needs to enter on the ground, he needs to play the ball, he needs to how to bat the ball, how to spin the ball, and then only by practice and exercise he can be a good cricketer. Even though this straitjacket formula of cricketering, even if it is not applicable to the profession of advocacy, but some extent practical legal education is a need of the time. When we compare the noble profession of advocacy with the medical profession, a lot difference is there. In medical profession, the medical colleges, they are affiliated to the hospitals, wherein the student of medical science, he is directly exposed to the knowledge of practical sense and practical exposure. Even if so is not case with the noble profession of advocacy, because the law colleges are not directly attached to the court so that they could directly expose to the practical knowledge of law. However, in recent past, considering the importance of the practical legal education, many efforts are being made on behalf of various law colleges, and Sandip University School of Law is not an exception to it. Imparting the quality legal educations, I would like to add that at the end of the day, whatever the professions you may select, because you being the student of law and future lawyers, you do have many responsibilities of the society. And in this wake of situation, at the end of the day, you need to earn the livelihood for your family. Whenever you earn the livelihood, maintaining the values and ethics of the profession, it surely maintain the high standard of your profession. No doubt, Sandip University School of Law intend to impart quality, skill-based, student-centric, practical legal education. But beside that, we intend to introduce and fill up your minds with the values, and with this intention, Sandip University School of Law is established. So as to boost these values, we intended to decide, especially the guest lecture series, and accordingly we are inviting Honourable Judges of the High Court and the Supreme Court, as well as Vice Chancellors of the National Law Universities. As a part of it, it is a matter of great pleasure and pride that we have with us Honourable Justice Uday Lalit, Honourable Judge of the Supreme Court of India. Friends, in last 15 years of Supreme Court bar, there are only two counsels, those who directly elevated as a Judge of the Supreme Court, and Honourable Mr. Justice Uday Lalit is one amongst them. Your Lordship, on behalf of Sandip University School of Law, as well as on behalf of Sandip University itself, I express my deep sense of gratitude for accepting my invitation and making it convenient to grace this occasion. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable sharing. The price of success is hard work, dedication to the work, and the determination that whether we win or lose, we have applied the best of ourselves to task at the hand. It gives me an immense pleasure now to welcome on dais the man behind the flagship of our success, who at every point of time inspired us and motivated us to conduct such programs. I call upon Dr. R.J. Tater, sir, Pro Vice Chancellor of Sandip University, to express his views.
A very good afternoon to one and all. Honorable Shri Uday Lalit ji, Honorable Judge of Supreme Court of India, Dr. Rasti ji, Dr. Zadav, my colleagues, principals of institutions, invitees, faculty members, students, and young friends. It is an opportunity for all of us to welcome Shri Uday Lalit ji on the campus of this Sandip Foundation for a guest lecture series organized by School of Law of the Sandip University. I, on behalf of you all, offer a very hearty welcome to Shri Uday Lalit ji on behalf of Sandip Foundation, Sandip University, and the entire campus as such. A matter of pride to listen to a person who has spent his entire life for fighting for the justice on one side and then giving the justice on the other side. And wonderful phenomenon in this process might have occurred, and he must have gone through all the ways of life to wonderfully learn, and then he is here to share this entire experience with all of us. Probably this moment is a moment we must always cherish for in the life. Because I understand listening skill is the one of the important and the best skill one human has. Once we listen, it is possible to update, enrich, and then use the same to convert that into skill sets. And that is why the opportunity to listen to a person for a span of an hour who has spent his life entirely in the process of justice is a wonderful feast for all of us. And I'm sure that every one of us is eager to listen to this person. We all will have to keep our all things open and seek the word and try to analyze the same in days to come for. See that the word spoken is grabbed, digested, analyzed, and used in the life days to come for. I don't take much of your time because we all are here to listen to the person. So equally I am also eager to listen to. And that is what opportunity is organized by Sandip School of Law. This series, hope it will continue in days to come for, will give us the feasts of such kinds in days to come for, enrich us and give us opportunity all the times in days to come for to listen to the personalities what we have today. Once again, I welcome on your behalf of you all Shri Uday Lalit ji and wish you all the best for this wonderful guest lecture today. Hope that you will listen it very patiently and will use it in the days to come for. Thank you very much.
Now, to concede the presence of today's guest of honor, Honourable Mr. Justice Uday J. Lalit and his successful journey, may I call upon my colleague Professor Prashant Sakre sir to introduce him, today's chief guest, in front of you all. Thank you.
Good afternoon, one and all. Honorable dignitaries on the dais, my colleagues and dear students. It is a matter of great pride and honor to have been asked by respected Dr. Jadhav to introduce our today's chief guest, who commenced his career as a lawyer and joined the bar at Mumbai in June 1983 and started practicing in the Supreme Court of India in 1986, who has worked with the former Attorney General of India, Mr. Sole Sohrabji, who is a living legend in the legal profession. He was associated with Mr. Sole Sohrabji from 1986 to 1992. On 29th April 2004, he was designated as a senior advocate by the Supreme Court of India. Thoroughness with the case, patience in explaining legal questions, and the sober demeanor in presenting the case before the bench were considered to be his strengths as a lawyer. As a stalwart criminal lawyer, he appeared in a number of leading criminal cases of politicians to cine stars. Facing prosecution had engaged him in different courts. Being one of the last appointments made through the collegium system, on 13th August 2014, he was elevated as the Honourable Judge of the Supreme Court of India. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us Honourable Justice Mr. Uday Umesh Lalit. Honourable Mr. Justice Uday Umesh Lalit sir is the second person after Rohinton F. Nariman, the former Solicitor General, to become an apex court judge from the bar in nearly last 15 years. It is not possible for me to acknowledge all his achievements in a couple of minutes. However, I shall try to make it brief by stating some of the important events of his career as an exceptional lawyer. His Lordship was a special prosecutor appointed by the Supreme Court of India in 2G Spectrum scam. His Lordship appeared as a counsel from the state government side opposing the bail plea of Dr. Binayak Sen, who had been in the lawyers panel for the Maharashtra government and the centre for 15 years and 5 respectively. As respected Dr. Ajit Tated has clearly mentioned, we are all very much eager to listen to him. So without taking even a single more minute of yours, again with your big round of applause, may I have the honor to call upon Honourable Mr. Justice Uday Umesh Lalit sir, Honourable Judge of the Supreme Court of India.
Dr. R.G. Tate, Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. M.S. Raste, Dean, Faculty of Law, Dr. D.M. Jadhav, all the dignitaries present here, all the professors, the staff, the faculty, and I see not many students as well. So it's principally to you, all the students. Don't believe what has been said about me. It's all trash. Every lawyer, because there are not many law students, and when I got to learn that Sandip University Law School is actually right in its first year, it is still toddler. It actually sort of, made me think that what is the subject that I must actually choose to address the students. Very well, let's start with the basics. Dr. Jadhav said about legal education. I must tell you, I graduated in the year 1983 from Government Law College. And when I stepped out of the college with a degree in law, I knew nothing. The law colleges in those days were not designed to equip a person to actually practice law. All his learning actually began after he joined the practice. And my learning also began after I joined the practice. There are not many facets. It's very difficult to pinpoint what exactly is the core and heart of legal education. Let's start with the basics, as I said. who according to you must be the first counsel or advocate or a lawyer? Have you ever thought of that? According to me, it must be Narad Muni. The man who could convince Valya and make him turn completely 180 degrees in his life and then become Valmiki Rishi. Imagine what kind of convincing power that man must be having, Narad Muni. In the face of death, when the death was almost certain, he actually not only stuck to his guns, had the courage of conviction, and secondly, the ability to convince somebody and then turn in his favor. Not only turn in his favor, also did a wonderful, magical thing so far as that Valya is concerned. That is what a counsel can be. That is what every lawyer can aspire to be. What do we actually say in our profession? There are pleaders who just plead a matter. There are advocates who project a viewpoint. And there are counsel who advise the judge. It's the journey from being a pleader to the counsel which actually is the passage of your legal education. That's where your legal education actually comes to the fore. And that is what legal education is. I'll give you few examples. As Dr. Jadhav said, I used to work with Mr. Sorabji. And I consider those years to be something like, Gurukul years for me, where I learnt everything. Whatever I am today is only because of those 5.5 years with Mr. Sorabji. But I'll give you another example where somebody else, another doyen at the bar, and these people I consider these people to be what in good old days used to be like Gurukul of Manyava Rishis. So somebody is like his Gurukul is Sandipani Rishi, somebody may be Vishwamitra, somebody may be Vasishtha. So one of them is Fali Nariman. And I'll give you one classic instance which actually opened my eyes like anything. As a youngster, I had a matter from a builder from Pune who had taken up an obligation to develop a property belonging to somebody else. Normally, all in development agreements, the property continues to be of the original owner. The plot belongs to him. The developer simply develops the property, puts up construction, and then sells the apartments after those apartments are ready. But the conveyance is normally from the original owner. So what is the capacity of that developer? That developer is pure and simple a licensee who is allowed to enter the property, develop it, and then thereafter, after completion, sell away the apartments. So my client had taken up such kind of assignment and obligations. And unfortunately, he could not keep up with the payments which he was expected and supposed to make to the original owner. So in an action for injunction, my client had lost all through and the matter came to Supreme Court. Now for a reputed builder, it was a slap in his face that he couldn't develop the property, couldn't complete the construction. So there was a lot of ego behind the litigation. And when the matter reached Supreme Court, we casually asked him, "Sir, will you be able to cope up and pay up everything which the installments that you are in default?" And his answer was, yes, I will do that. Next day, he prepared an affidavit saying that yes, given the time, I will be able to discharge all the obligations, so therefore give me extension of time, just about 3 months or 6 months. We had engaged another senior counsel, showed him the affidavit. He was also damn pleased. He said, what a wonderful way to get out of this litigation. If we show this, no judge is going to refuse you any relief. So here we are. Next day we reached the office of Mr. Nariman. I showed him the affidavit. He just brushed it aside. Again showed it. As a youngster, I said, it's all right, Dikra. Let's see that. So in the court, as expected, the question came from the judges. Mr. Nariman, is your client willing to pay up everything? That was the moment we were expecting. So I tucked at the gown of the senior. I said, sir, we have the affidavit. He just brushed it aside. Then there is always a podium in front of the lead counsel. So I put it there so that, it shouldn't escape his attention. And brushed it aside again. And the matter got dismissed. Our client, a reputed builder from Pune, was howling mad. He said, how could your counsel overreach the instructions? Whatever we had told him, why couldn't he actually convey it to the judges? And there is this professional sort of, indifference. I will take the matter to the bar council, so on and so forth. I said, sorry sir, I couldn't do anything. I did whatever was expected and whatever was possible and within my command. Maybe good sense prevailed over him. I did not hear any kind of, petition or case being filed in the Bar Council of India. And 6 months down the line, the man again appeared in my office in connection with something else. So I took instructions and I couldn't help myself, resist myself. So I asked him, what happened to that matter? You were supposed to go to Bar Council. He said, sorry sir, all that was nonsense. It appears that Mr. Nariman knows more about my business than I do. Sir, if I had taken that challenge, that obligation, I would have been wiped out of the business. Now imagine, where does this come from for a counsel? It is the vision. It is something that you read between the lines. It is something that you can imagine, you can actually think over and say that if this man could not pay up in last 2 years, if I saddle that burden on his shoulder, perhaps I think it will be too much for him. So rather than doing service to him, I'll be doing great disservice to him. And then have that courage of conviction that even if we had prepared the affidavit, to brush it aside and take that entire burden on himself, even at the cost of maybe an adverse litigation against him. That's the strength of a counsel. And that is what every one of you who is actually an aspiring lawyer or a law student here must actually try to imbibe in himself or herself. That's the vision that you must have. I won't go into the jargon which is normally said, legal education, so on and so forth. You must appear in court, you must see everything. These are all principles, yes, but how do we apply those principles? How do we actually sort of assimilate them and make it part of your persona? That is the most crucial and important thing. Theoretically speaking, I can very well start by saying that as a lawyer, you must master your facts. Very well. Yes, you must. You must master your law. Yes, you do. That's the second principle. You must know your opponent. That's the third one. Very few of you may have actually been sort of told about this. But it's very, very important. You must know your opponent. And why? As Dr. Jadhav said about cricket. So I'll give you the cricketing terminology. A bowler can bowl as well as the batsman may allow him to. Correct? Similarly, it is your opponent. Years back when I started, Justice Chandurkar, formerly Judge of Bombay High Court and then Chief Justice of Madras High Court. As a family friend, I went to him and asked for some advice as a young lawyer. So he told me few things which are very beautiful. What he said is, "Beta, every matter, out of 100 matters, 90 matters come with the fate written on the forehead. Whatever you may do, whether you do better or whether you do worse, the matter, if it is to be dismissed, it will be dismissed. So 90% is what vidhi likhit. 5%, he said, are the cases which actually turn on the individual philosophy of a judge. A judge may be pro-tenant, pro-revenue, pro-establishment, pro-landlord, pro-worker. So given a choice, it is his individual philosophy which will percolate in the judgment, and that's how the cases are going to turn. So we are left with 5. And he said, it is only 2% that you actually win because of your efforts. I said, what about 3%? That you will win because of the mistakes committed by the opponent. So I, as a stupid fool, I asked him, what if I commit mistakes? Then you will be in that 3% bracket for the opponent. That's how it is. So you must know your opponent. You must know his strength. You must sort of never take him lightly. You must also respect his ability. See, unlike other professions, law is a very, I would call it slightly vicious profession. Because, like the goddess of justice, it doesn't spare you. If you have faltered, then that sword will come down heavily. But if you have done well, it will lift you up in life like anything. And why does it happen? See, unlike other professions, where an architect maybe is designing something, I don't know whether he himself has done it or some associates from his chamber have done it. Within the 4 walls, he may have taken any help from anybody and may have been masked as the product of his imagination and creativity. But for a lawyer, he stands naked before the court every time whenever he appears. He has to have it in himself and then deliver it before the court in the adversities of his opponent constantly trying to pull his leg down, and perhaps with the onslaught of whatever the individual philosophy of that judge could be. So it is the lawyer who has to actually discharge every time purely based on his ability, intellect and sort of delivery. Those who do well, those people who are sitting in court are the spectators who will then, by word of mouth publicity, will be doing great service to that lawyer. But if he is unfortunately not doing so well, then you have 50 critics, right there available in the court. And that is why I call this profession slightly vicious. It can pull you down with great velocity, but it can actually take you up at the level of zenith in no time. And that is why those who are at the top are indispensable. You will find in this profession 80% of the work is controlled by 20% lawyer. And rest 80% lawyers survive themselves on 20% of the piece. That's the unfortunate part. But that's where the legal profession is. If every one of us actually rises to the occasion, then perhaps this disparity will be something which will be sort of obliterated. Very well. Now we go back to that. I started with what you must know your opponent. So that was the third principle. The fourth. This is something which I have developed, and so I am now, as a person, I have put in something like I started in 83. Today is 2017. So behind me is the experience of almost 34 years. 2 years as judgeship, so therefore leave aside that, but 32 years as a lawyer. So whatever I have actually developed, culled out, assimilated, that's what I am presenting you in a capsulized form. The fourth principle, according to me, is the way you treat your judge. I had gone to argue something in Bangalore High Court where the chief was addressing an audience, and he came out with something from which I have developed this. It is that the lawyer and the judge, the relationship must be like an assisting pujari who is assisting his head pujari. In the temple of justice, the judge is not the DT. The judge is the head pujari. The DT is goddess of justice. So you have to assist that main pujari so that there are no doubts in his mind. According to him, that's the only way the goddess must actually sort of, behave. So you are the assisting pujari. Very well, now let's actually have practical examples, 2 examples. Just imagine a scene. There's a bail application. So a young lawyer arguing before the court says, "Sir, this is bail application." "Yes, what have your client done?" "Sir, there's a charge of so and so, so and so." "Oh yes, he appears to be a scoundrel. So why should we release him on bail?" Then you start saying, "Oh, there is something, rejected." That's the usual way. So has the assisting pujari assisted the main pujari? Very well. Now let's have a refined example. Supposing if he were to say and open this, "Sir, I have heard that somebody who recites Ramcharitmanas every day does a great service to the God." "Of course, yes. Ramcharitmanas is like beautiful thing. Somebody who does it, his pap will all get washed away. All sins are washed away." "Oh, I see. So this man, sir, he does it 40 times a day." "Oh, is that so? But why are you before me with this man?" "Sir, he requires a bail." Now see the attitude of the judge. Will he dismiss it straight away? Or will he actually sort of, try to give you something? That's the way an assisting pujari must assist his head pujari. I just gave you just off the cuff example. That's the relationship which a lawyer must actually have with his judge. That's the fourth principle. And the fifth one is what I told you about, Mr. Nariman. That you must read between the lines. You must have that vision. You must have that interpretative capacity. You must have that ability to see what exactly, even if I submit in this fashion, what is going to be the impending sort of consequences of that. And because he knew what the consequences would be, so for him, that was the higher success than going for the lower level success, which was just getting the order in his favor. Once I was sitting in court, and again one of those, rishis in our profession, K. Parasaran, former Attorney General, he was struggling to make a point. And in the process, he said that, very well, this is my submission. So therefore the judges asked him, how do you say, Mr. Parasaran, the facts actually speak otherwise? No, but the facts actually speak the way I want you to understand that. The judges said, sorry, that's the only way the facts will speak for themselves. He said, no, that is not. Can I just give you an example? And this is the example which he gave to the judges, which I am now placing before you. That's the process of interpretation for a counsel. He said there was a married woman in a village whose husband had left her almost say about 12 years back, and nothing was heard of this man. He had never returned back. Nobody had seen him, nobody had heard of him. This lady, poor lady, would constantly think about her husband, and for her that was the only thing in life. She would do nothing else. Whatever she may do, household kind of jobs and everything, at the back of mind would be the constant awareness that when is my husband going to come back? How must he be? Whether is he all right? Whether is he not there? And one day while drawing water from the well, when you have that chakri and then the pulley goes down and then the container actually lifts the water and comes up. While she was drawing the water, the rope, the thread, either got cut or something and the container fell down in the well. As usual, the lady was thinking about her husband at that very moment. So she was rather worried, is that something a bad omen? That the container fell. So she goes to the village Pandit, who puts her questions. Yes, madam, what were you thinking at that very moment? Of course, about my husband, his well-being. Whether will he come back? When will he come back? Madam, then there is a problem. Why? Because the sutra got broken. And it could be Mangal Sutra, it could be anything. So therefore that sutra got broken. That's not a good thing. This lady is then sort of, completely devastated. Somebody suggests her a second opinion in the matter, so therefore she goes to the village Pandit across about say 5 kilometers. Now this man again interprets the very same facts. He puts the very same question. Were you thinking about your husband? Yes. What were you doing? I was drawing the water. So therefore it was a filled up kind of container which was coming up. Yes. Then your husband is going to come back and he'll come back soon. That was a completely opposite view. So she puts a question. How do you say that, sir? The so-and-so actually told me something else. Madam, that water which was actually separated from the original source of water, as a result of breaking of the thread, met the original source. this is what Parasaran actually gave the example to the judges. You should have looked at the faces of the judges. Because very same facts could be actually read in a different light. And that is what a counsel must be. That is the capacity, the command that the counsel must have over a matter. Don't get bogged down by this, and that's where Narad Muni actually could turn Valya around. Pure simple facts were that here was a man who was accustomed to killing people for money. He was armed with a sharp cutting weapon. He was standing right in front of you. And yet he could turn him around. That is what actually makes you as a counselor. So therefore, something like vision, that's the fifth principle. If you have these Panchashil of principles, if you have them together, and if your approach is to apply them together, then this Bandi Mutti is like, your power. And that's what is actually legal education means. Legal education is not just 5 years in the law school. Legal education is your journey always. I am still a law student. So are all the professors, so are all the judges, so are all the lawyers. For us, the legal education doesn't stop. You are just beginning the process as a toddler. But if you have that kind of awareness, mind you, you will go places. Thank you so much.
Honourable Justice Mr. Uday Umesh Lalit, Judge Supreme Court of India, respected R.G. Tated sir, respected Mrinal Raste sir, our most valued invited distinguished guest, ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on behalf of Sandip University School of Law and Sandip University, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all for gracing your important, valuable time with us today. Well, ladies and gentlemen, an event like this doesn't happen overnight. The wheels start rolling weeks ago. It requires planning and a bird's eye to develop. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated, dedicated visionaries. I must mention a deep sense of appreciation for Dr. Sandip Jha, Chairman, Sandip Foundation, Professor P.I. Patil, Mentor, Sandip Foundation, our Pro Vice Chancellor Sir, Dr. R.G. Tate. I also wish to express my gratitude to Dr. D.M. Jadhav for providing encouragement and support throughout. I may like to express a sincere thanks to Honourable Justice Uday Umesh Lalit for giving an excellent speech which has laid due emphasis on the importance of counsel and how a lawyer should read between the lines. Your speech has laid down the foundation and will serve as an inspiration for our ensuing deliberations. We all are inspired by your words, sir. Further, we are grateful to Dr. D.D. Deshmukh, Registrar, Sandip University, Dr. Prahlad Lulekar, CEO of Sandip University, Dr. Manal Raste, Dean School of Law, and all deans and principals of Sandip Foundation, S.T. Gandesar, Professor P.N. Patil, Professor S.D. Pawar, Professor M.P. Ray, Dr. A.G. Jadhav, all other principals of other colleges for gracing the functions with their presence. Last but not the least, I would be failing in my duty if I do not extend my sincere thanks also to the faculties, the press, technical, non-technical staff, and all our Sandip University students for the cooperation and support without which this guest lecture series would not have been a success. Thank you.